Play and Trade Guitars is giving away this Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul to one of you. How to enter? Subscribe to Play and Trade Guitars on YouTube, and we'll give it away when we hit 50,000 subscribers.
Hey, welcome back to Play and Trade Guitars. I'm John, that's Zach behind the camera, and this is Play and Trade Guitars, where of course we play it and trade it. We're continuing our look at the best-selling Les Pauls, today from Gibson, and when you watched our suite of videos, many of you requested, rightfully so, a pair of guitars that we missed. Well, we're going to be covering those this week. We're going to be taking a look at the Gibson Les Paul Modern. $2,999 price point, modern features that we'll talk about when we take it apart on the bench, and then of course we'll plug it in and play it. It's got a suite of push-pull tone options that enhance your average Les Paul. It's got ultra-modern weight relief. It's got all that. At the top though, make sure you're subscribed. You're giving away that Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul when we hit 50,000 subscribers, and we're growing fast thanks to all of you. And finally, when you're in the market for these guitars, remember that our job is to give you all the information for you to find the right guitar for you. And when you're ready to buy, I hope you'll use our purchase link down in the description because it supports our channel directly when you buy using our link. Now, without further ado, let's get this Les Paul Modern out of the box, uncase it, put it on the bench, and plug it in and play it. Let's do it. Always great to see a box from Gibson USA. These are made in Nashville, Tennessee, of course. You can check out our Gibson USA factory tour of Jim DeCola. And here we go. Thank you, Zach. Two-man operation here. Pretty cool, sleek-looking, kind of matte black Gibson modern case. Those black hardware buckles here. Latch is flipped. Let's take a look. Yeah, the Gibson Les Paul Modern, $2,999. This one in this beautiful metallic Pelham blue. The translucent clear knobs, these are gonna have push-pull features that we'll talk about when we put it on the bench. Nice piece of mahogany. Check out the routing here. So they've gone kind of above and beyond with making the upper register a little more accessible with this contoured body joint. And then we're also gonna be talking, when we put it on the scale, this one has ultra-modern weight relief. And why don't we head over to the bench and take this apart, but man, out of the box, it's a beaut. And as we go, drop a comment, let us know which Les Paul you're in the market for, and tell us which of the modern features on this guitar you're most excited about. This one is gonna feature a really special neck. It has an asymmetrical contoured neck, and then it has a compound radius going from 10 inches all the way up to 16 inches, so super flat in the upper register. We'll see how that feels when we plug it in, but let's head to the bench, take it apart, and talk full specs. Beautiful. So starting at the top of the headstock, we have that beautiful open book Gibson classic headstock with the mother of pearl Gibson logo. Les Paul model screened on here, nothing on the truss rod cover. When I flip it over, this is a nice upgrade. You have these Grover Rotomatic locking tuners, so it makes restringing a breeze. I love the look of the mahogany being natural, set against the Pelham blue metallic finish. As that comes down the neck here, you're gonna see this body route here, this contoured body. That's just gonna make it even that much more accessible to get up to this upper register. It feels nice in the hand. I mean, it's just like a really natural place for your palm. You can even see it just as I hold the guitar. And then the neck, there's a whole lot to talk about on this neck. I've got a Graphtec nut, white binding like a Les Paul standard should have. No fret nibs on this one. Kind of interesting. Or not much of a fret nib. You can kind of see the exposed fret ends. But really, the most important aspect of what makes this a modern guitar is going to come down to the neck shape and the pickups, which we'll talk about in a moment. But with the neck, you're getting an asymmetrical neck shape. It's a slim taper, but it's going to be a little chunkier on the bass side than it is the treble side, which is interesting. And I can already feel that, especially with like kind of a thumb over grip, you can feel that there's more meat on the bass side of the neck than the treble side, which is interesting. And then you're going to have a 10-inch radius going all the way up to a 16-inch radius, which means it's going to get flatter as you go up the fretboard. The flatter the neck, typically, especially in the upper register, it's going to be a really flat, fast playing experience, kind of like those old Wizard Ibanez necks, which are super, super fast shredder necks. So definitely a modern appointment there. The pickups here are going to be a set of Burstbucker Pros with Alnico 5 magnets. Another big part of what makes this a modern guitar is that they have ultra-modern weight relief. So if you were to look underneath the maple cap that's here, the mahogany body is actually routed pretty substantially. It's not what's considered a chambered guitar, but it's kind of a step between being a fully chambered guitar and just a traditional 9-hole weight relief, which you'd see on like the Les Paul Classic. Well, I'll tell you what, it did a whole lot of nothing for us because this is 9 pounds, 5 ounces. So it's actually one of the heavier Les Pauls we've had come through. So there you go, ultra modern weight relief. In this case, it's basically a 9.4 pound Les Paul. So not much ultra modern weight relief going on there, I guess. But of course that's gonna vary guitar to guitar. So let's get the strings off, we'll get some neck measurements, we'll pull the pickups, we'll look at the electronics, and then of course we'll plug it in and play it. I think a good comparison for this guitar, considering it's $29.99, is also to check out the Les Paul Classic, because that's gonna run you $24.99. And it's also gonna have a lot of the coil splitting modern options for you. It's also gonna have a slim tapered neck. It's gonna have 61 style pickups, but I think it's actually a pretty good comparison to look at the classic versus the modern. So let's do that in this series. And when you're in the market to buy, remember, please use our purchase link. It supports us directly. Let's pull these strings and get to work. So normally my trick is to loosen the traditional tuners and then pull the stop bar off to get the strings out of the way. This guitar actually has an upgrade, which is these locking tuners, so there's really not much slack to work with in the strings. That's because when you restring these locking tuners, you're basically gonna pull the string through the whole taut, tighten on the back with these Grover Rotomatic locking tuners, and you're done. Tune up to pitch, and it's a really, really convenient, fast way to change your strings. So now all I have to do to pull these strings is loosen that, and these pop right out. You can see there's basically no extra lead line on the length of these strings. And another touch is that this is not acrylic inlays. You can tell just by looking at these. I mean, this is not a cheap guitar at $29.99, but you've got these real mother of pearl, and they really pop on this guitar and look fantastic. Let's go ahead and get some measurements. 1.69 inch nut, a first fret at 0.76 inches, up to a 12th fret of 0.88 inches. And then on this slab, you're gonna get this real flat 16-inch radius by the time you're in the upper register for a super fast playing experience. 2 inches even on the thickness. Lifting the pickups, we're gonna be checking out this Rhythm Burstbucker Pro in neck, the PAF sticker on there. It's gonna be a short neck tenon on this guitar. And then in bridge position, we have this lead Burstbucker Pro Plus, it's marked. And with this faded Pelham blue finish, you can sort of see the break here. You can see the line delineating the mahogany body down there and the maple cap. This is a small detail, but I really like when the bridge, and we have a Nashville style bridge, is height adjustable not just by the wheel like it is traditionally, but by actually being able to put an Allen wrench into these posts. You just have a lot more leverage to work with when you can adjust it that way, so I like that feature. So we have traditional volume, volume, tone, tone, but the difference here is on the volumes, you're gonna have a coil tap. So you pull those up for kind of a single coil sound. And then on the neck tone, when you pull that, you're gonna have a phase flip. And this is an interesting one. I'm still kind of curious when we get to the playing demo to see what this does, but you basically have like looks like a master bypass when you pull the tone for the bridge pickup. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get some pickup readings. Bridge pickup reading 7.9, neck pickup at 7.4, 3.8 combined. And one interesting thing is with the coil tap instead of a coil split, I can pull this and you're not gonna see any halving of values on the multimeter, it'll stay the same. It's a different method than say a coil split where you generally see a halving. Oh yeah, look at that. So that's what's going on is with the bridge side tone pulled up, you enable that bypass. It doesn't matter where I put any of these controls, and I would probably then assume, yeah, none of the controls do anything, which is kind of interesting, isn't it? So you are purely just taking the signal straight through. Kind of a wild feature, but I'm curious to see what that sounds like, or you can drop in the comments why that's a benefit. It always kind of amazes me that these guitars with the more modern features, there's nothing in the case that really tells you what any of this does. So it's like, just pull a button and if you like the sound, I guess use it.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's right. One little tip while I put these strings back in is when you cut the tops of the strings off after using this locking tuner, leave yourself a little bit of slack because they cut it all the way down at the factory to basically the end of the post. And the problem is if you take these off to do any kind of work and try to put these back in, you're gonna need every little bit of slack to get this back through here. And you can see how little I have to work with to get it back in this post, hold it tight, and then lock it down. Strings are back on. We'll go ahead and flip the guitar over and take a look at the controls. Circuit Board City. Circuit City up in here. CTS pots, the real tall ones, because of course we have all these push-pull configurations going on. So for some initial reactions, you remember as I talked about what distinguishes one Les Paul from another, I really summed up two major things. One is the neck shape and feel, particularly the shape of the neck, is it 50s or 60s, and then the pickups. And with the Modern, just keep in mind that the Modern is gonna present you with that slim tapered neck with the asymmetrical, and I can tell you I definitely feel more heft in the neck itself on the bass side. which is kind of cool, but it is kind of like, it's like ramping you kind of down. Has a little bit of a different feel. So in a way, it's a weird blending of slim and that fatter feel, if you like that, especially if you play thumb over. And then the other component of this neck, of course, is that real fast flat fingerboard. And that feels nice. I always like a flat radius on a guitar just because it plays so smooth and fast. And then you have that, what's interesting is they went with a 10-inch, and on a traditional Gibson, you'd have a 12-inch radius. But this is basically pushing Fender territory, because a Fender modern guitar would be a 9.5-inch radius. You got a 10-inch radius down here in kind of cowboy land. And so between the both, you get this pretty dramatic feel in the neck, which I have not felt another neck that feels like this. It's definitely a distinct feel. So you wanna be able to appreciate that if this is the guitar that you go with. We're gonna fire this up. We're going direct in to give you a clean sound of the guitar. We'll go through all the pickup configurations and tone controls. We'll let a riff kind of illustrate that, and then we'll fire it up behind a track for performance and let it sing. So let's get it plugged in and get to work. All right, checking out the Les Paul Modern as requested by many of you as we've been covering our best-selling Les Pauls from Gibson and Epiphone. In this case, it's at the upper end of that price tier, so we're looking at $29.99, and the question is it worth it? Well, I can tell you something. The pickups sound fantastic. The Burstbucker Pros sound really nice. If you're into a slim neck with something different with this asymmetrical shape, I'd kind of describe it almost as like an airplane wing or like a backwards tier. And it's definitely noticeable. I felt like I could get around the guitar really easily. I love how flat of a radius you have up in the upper register. The contour on the back is also noticeable. It allows you to get up there much more so than running into that block on a traditional Les Paul, which is nice. I think that this guitar lives up to the billing. And between this beautiful mother of pearl block inlays, the sound of these pickups, if you like all the configurations available in the tone controls, I'll tell you probably the most useful one in my opinion is putting the pickups in middle and hearing the distinct difference when the phase flip. So the phase flip switch is actually flipping the phase just on the neck pickup, but where you'll hear obviously in relation to the whole sound overall, the biggest pronounced difference is when you're in that middle position because you're flipping the phase, the relationship between the neck and the bridge pickup. That's a really cool sound. You have the coil tap. We've covered this also on the Les Paul Studio. You can check out that video. I feel like the coil tap is a feature that is less pronounced sounding than a coil split. And it's gonna be kind of like almost like a little tone switch, if you will. I think it's less pronounced of an effect. I don't think it's as useful. I cannot really think for the life of me what I would do with this bypass all switch, which just takes you purely out of the bridge. You can drop in the comments and let us know what you're doing with that if you have this guitar, or what draws you to this guitar if that's a feature you're looking for. But the standout things you need to know if you're in the market for this guitar, the neck shape is very unique. It's unlike any other Les Paul I've played. It's not a bad thing, but it's definitely going to be slim with some meat in the back of the neck where your thumb sits or where your palm sits. And if you like a purely slim taper neck, I would stay away from this because this is going to be more of a hybrid between kind of a 50s and 60s approach. Now, coupling that with, if you like that fast radius and if you like to play in the upper register, it's hard to beat this neck. I can't fault this neck at all. I think it plays beautifully. I had a great experience with it. The pickups sound really good. There's also kind of like a little bit of options paralysis when just me personally, when I have a modern guitar that has so many switching capabilities. The question is how many of those you're going to use. If you like the switching capabilities, also check out our video on the Les Paul Classic because that has many switching abilities too, and then you're going to have those uncovered pickups. But at the end of the day, the question to me is this guitar worth the $29.99? Is it worth more than a Les Paul Standard, which is retailing at $27.99? I'd say that they went in the right direction for somebody looking for the modern appointments and kind of a high performance guitar. I think it feels fantastic, so I can't fault it. Drop a comment down below. Let us know if you're going to pick up a Les Paul Modern or what you're looking for. And also, have you checked out the Epiphone Les Paul Modern? Check out our video on that guitar as well. Substantially lower price point. So let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. And as always, remember to use our purchase link. Remember to subscribe and sign up for our Gleam giveaway for that Les Paul Custom. And we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.